continue talking about reducing fractions. Sometimes students complain that there's way too much writing here. Why do you have to show so much work here? Well, it's important to understand what all the steps are. But we are going to start abbreviating a little bit. I think you'll like that. But what is the key to reducing fractions? The answer is factoring, of course. Go ahead, hit the pause button and factor these, and we'll go over them in just a second. Okay, the way you factor the first term is by factoring into primes, but with the second term, since you have more than one terms, you're going to have to use the distributive law, right? Okay. Okay, so we were talking about reducing. Now this term simplifies is a general term in algebra. It could mean to combine like terms. In this case, the word simplify means to multiply and reduce. What we talked about last time is instead of multiplying it out, isn't it a better idea just to factor? Because you're just going to want to factor it anyway when you look for factors of 1. So the way we did it was you look for your factors of 1. I believe there's a 3 and a 2 that form a 1. And then you take away the factor of 3 and the 2. When you take the 3 and the 2 away, I think there's negative 8 on the top and there's a 15 on the bottom. So when you remove the factor of 1, your final answer is negative 8/5. Negative 8/15, I should say, right? Okay, how about this one? When you have 15 over negative 6 times 12, remember this is 12 over 1, and what you're looking for, you factor it, and you're looking for factors of 1. I believe there's a 2 and a 3 that are common. You pull those off, that becomes your 1. You have a negative 1 left on the bottom. I think you have a 30 left on top. So your final answer is 30 over negative 1, which is just negative 30. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a slightly shorter way to do that. Remember, that's the right way to do it, but we're not going to write all those steps out, okay? I think you'll like this a little bit. When you want to multiply and reduce this or simplify it, you still have to factor it. Factoring is really important. But we're not going to include that step where you actually break off the factors of 1. Let's just circle the numbers, the quantities that form a factor of 1. For example, the 3 and the 3 are part of your 1, right? And another 3 is going to form part of the 1, and also the x. So I'm not going to write that out. I'm just going to circle the factors once it's factored, and then what's left is my answer, right? Because I take away that factor of 1. So that's how we're going to write it. I don't like to, by the way, I'd rather circle them than cross them out. You know why I don't like to cross them out? It's because, look, it's impossible to cross out an x. See, look, I'm trying to cross out the x and it won't go away. See, it's still there. So circle the common factors, and instead of actually breaking them off, we're going to do that. But you know that really you're breaking off those factors, okay? What's left is a negative 4 on the top, a 5y on the bottom. So isn't that nicer? All right, so let's try one like this. So if I were going to reduce this, I'll put the negative on top, I factor everything. So instead of actually breaking out the factors of 1, now that it's factored, I'm going to circle them. Okay, so the x is going to be part of my factor of 1, 3, anything else? How about a 2? So when you break those off and take them away, I think you have a negative 4y on the top and a 7z. So that makes it a little bit easier, doesn't it? You still have to factor, though. Factoring is really important. We're going to look at some in the next problem set where if you don't factor it, you're going to get the wrong answer. Also, we're not just like crossing out the. We're not just like going to cross out the 10 with the 5 and put a 2 here and a 3 here. That's a shortcut. It's important that you understand how to factor because of what we're going to see in the next homework. Okay, so don't be crossing stuff out. I still want you to factor. There's quite a lot of stuff here. You got 3 times 2 times a, there's a negative 1, there's a 2 times 5, there's a 2 times a. It's kind of nice to put all the variables on the end. Remember, you can do that by the commutative law. Notice I have 2 factors of a. We're going to actually call that a squared later when we get to the exponent chapter, but we haven't gotten there yet, so let's just leave it as a times a for now. Okay, but let's circle the common factors. Let's see, there's a 3, that's going to form a 1, a 2, another 2, a 5, anything else? Another 2, and an a. So careful, what's left on the top? I think all that's left on the top is a negative a, right? On the bottom you have a bunch of stuff. You have a 3 times a 3 is 9 times 2 is 18 xy. So That's how we're going to do it. But make sure you factor. Always factor first. All right, here we're going to do the same thing. Here, well, write this as negative 12 over 1. And then let's just start to factor everything into primes here. When you do that, like I say, I like to move the letters and at the very end. It just makes it easier to organize. So any common factor is going to be part of your factor of 1. So it looks like a 5 is going to form a 1. Anything else? Anything else that how about an A? I think a 3 also. So that leaves me with a 5y on the bottom, and I have a negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's 16t. So that's right, negative 16t over 5y. All right, so why don't you go ahead and work these problems. Don't forget to factor. You got to factor first, and then instead of breaking out the 1, you just circle the common factors. Let's start doing that. Okay, here we go. So on the first one, let's see. Remember, this is x over 1, so it's just 7x over x. Now, that equals 7, but remember, there's a 1 left on the bottom because we're not running that step anymore, but really it's 7 over 1 times x over x, right? Yeah, so that's why it's just 7 over 1, or 7. Okay, on this one, let's say we factor everything, so get to here. Now we're going to circle the common factors, right, instead of breaking it off. See, an x is a common factor. Anything else? How about a 5 and a 3? So what do I get? I get a 4y on the top and a negative 3x on the bottom. Actually, there's not an x on the bottom. It's just negative 3, isn't it? So it's just 4 over negative 3. 4y over negative 3. Final answer should be then negative 4y. Move the negative up to the top. Negative 4y over 3 is your final answer. Okay, this one. This is 15aj over 1. And then when you factor it, you get this. Kind of weird having j. I don't like using j very much. Anyway, what are the common factors here? Let's see. The j is going to go away. Anything else? I think a 5. So I get a 7 on the bottom, and I get a negative 1 times 3 times 3 times 3. I think that's 27. Negative 27 ak over 7. That's right. Okay, the last one. When you factor everything, it's kind of a pain, isn't it? Break off the negative 1s. Let's move the variables out to the end. Let's see. The negative 1s form a 1. Anything else? I think a 5. A 3, a 2, and a 2, another 3, oh this is fun, a 2, and a 3, careful, and an A. So all I have left on top I think is a Z. On the bottom I think I have a H and a 2. You got to be organized here. That's right. Alright, we'll continue this next time. See you later. Bye-bye.